Hey now. Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road. Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road.
Hey now, how you doing, everybody? Happy Friday. First weekend of the new school year is about to get underway, and whenever you're listening to this, whether it's today or over the course of the weekend, next week, I just appreciate you listening. Thanks for checking into this episode of Scott Fox After 9. Today is a listener DM episode, and I'm going to get to the listener DMs in a few minutes, and I'm going to bring in the great Anna Almeida to read them. Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you could come in. Before we get to the DMs, there is some breaking news. It just came down. The August job numbers, whereas they expected the economy created 10,000 new jobs. It's amazing that you can call yourself an economist and still think that we might have created 10,000 jobs last month. Because to me, this is very black and white. It seems like we're shedding jobs like a dog. And it's pretty bad. We lost 66,000 jobs in the month of August.
Okay, well,
66,000
they
jobs
thought we
lost.
were going to gain 10,000, but we lost 66.
Yes.
And somebody's handling this who's an economist who clearly can't do the math.
That's right. So, there is some good news here because almost certainly now the Bank of Canada is going to have to drop interest rates. That son of a bitch, Tiff Macklem, doesn't have a choice now. And I think whereas he probably would hold his nose and maybe cut a quarter point, he's going to have to cut at least a half point now.
You have to. This is outrageous and disgusting.
We are in a recession. That's now confirmed. Consecutive quarters of negative growth. The jobs numbers have been terrible for June, July, and August now, and things are not looking good here. Part of the reason I point this out, though, is I don't want to hit everybody with a bunch of doom and gloom before the long weekend or the weekend here, but the reality is elbows up was terrible from the beginning. It was not a viable strategy, and now it's playing out in real time. Mark Carney has had 5 months to figure it out, to get shovels in the ground, to start building, and he has not done a thing. Now, I'm told that as we're recording, cowardly thing to do. He should have done it beforehand, so I could have had it in the pod today. He's going to do a news conference later on this morning where he's going to announce they're going to pause the EV mandate for review. That's a very Trudeau thing. It's a wildly unpopular policy, and Carney has had to backtrack on a lot of things, including the carbon tax, which they swore was better for people, but they still got rid of it because it was politically unpopular, and they care about power more than anything. Yeah. Well, now they're going to pause their EV mandate. This is the one that would have required everybody to buy an electric vehicle, not even hybrid, has to be an EV. That was the deal. They were supposed to start ramping up towards it, and within 10 years, you wouldn't be able to buy a gas-powered vehicle in Canada. You just wouldn't be able to. Now they're going to pause that. Rather than just say it was a terrible idea from the beginning, how dare we try and impose on the people what kind of car they can drive?
No doubt.
They're going to pause it. And frankly, when they're talking electric vehicles, whereas the rest of the country is going to be talking about jobs and the economy, it just makes them look even more out of touch, Anna.
They're very tone deaf.
Bring on this new session of Parliament. Let's have a confidence vote on day one. Let's do it, because I have a feeling Canadians are going to be ready for an election real soon because the economy is about to get really, really bad.
I don't know how they've been able to turn a side eye and not pay attention to what the hell is happening in this world. In Canada, particularly, violence. There's hunger. I mean, there's so much happening here, and yet he showed up, Mark Carney. And I was liberal, okay? I wasn't about the elbows up, but I stuck to the devil that I knew rather than the one I didn't know, which hasn't paid me well. With that being said, he went to TIFF yesterday talking about how great it is for the economy. Bullshit. I mean, we need a bigger picture here. Where have you been? You've been gallivanting when you needed to be in Parliament, getting shit done like you promised. Okay, I'm sorry. It's just, I see how people are struggling. It's just unbelievable that this is Canada, where people used to seek refuge, and now we're leaving by the numbers.
It's crazy. By the way, I mentioned this yesterday, that there's new polling out that says Canadians don't care about Donald Trump anymore. Now I've got the actual numbers from Abascus data. 85% of Canadians say they are tired of hearing about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
What they do want our leaders to focus on is housing, healthcare, cost of living.
Yes.
And I don't know what the federal government doesn't understand about that, but I hope that that is a shock to the core of two gentlemen in particular. One, Mark Carney, two, Doug Ford, who do nothing but exploit the Donald Trump anger, or what they thought was anger, for their own political ambitions. And it's over now. The party is over. Stop caring about this Donald Trump nonsense. Forget about the tariffs. There are problems here at home that people want dealt with. And on that,
okay,
let's get to listener DMs, Anna.
Fired up. That was my DM to you. All right, but we're going to start off with Mallory. She writes, "Hi, Scott. I heard you say your downloads are down and that some people have stopped listening to your pod."
That is absolutely true.
Well, she says, "I am one of those people that stopped listening. After the election, I was sad and needed to stop hearing about politics for a while. Nothing to do with you or your pod. I am back now. Thanks for informing the people. Team Pierre all the way."
Okay, Mallory, thank you. You know, that's a prevailing sentiment for a lot of people. I felt it too. You know, after the election, I was drained and I felt defeated, and I felt like there wasn't a lot of hope for Canada, because what we're dealing with in real time right now, I warned that all of this was going to happen back in the spring. This is what we said was going to happen. We will go into a recession. We will lose a ton of jobs. And once they say we're in a recession, watch how quickly the jobs go. I feel bad because there are people listening to this pod that don't even know it yet, that are going to lose their job in the next 3 months. And that is, it was so preventable. We made the wrong choice. And there is a chance to correct that coming up. We've just got to make sure that our politicians get the message that you either fix the problem or get out of the way and let Pierre do it.
Get out of the way. I like it. Greg says, "I have to say I lived in Alberta for 30 years and have vague recollection of the ALCB, but it has been gone for forever. I agree with you. The LCBO is dumb. Privatize it and get the government out of the way."
Okay, so I'm assuming that's the Alberta Liquor Control Board?
Yeah, Alberta Liquor, exactly.
Have you been to Alberta?
Never. I've never been out that way.
I've been to Edmonton, I've been to Calgary, and a few other places too. One of the things that I love about Alberta is their private liquor stores. You know, you can go into a store, and there's lots of them, very similar to a convenience store setup, except you go in and they've got all the beer you want. They've got all the spirits you want. They've got all the coolers you want, all there. And you know what? If you like a particular brand, maybe you like the Los Doritos tequila.
Cool.
I made that up. I don't know if that's a real thing.
I believed you.
And you know what? If that store that you go to doesn't carry Los Doritos, then maybe you just go to the one across the street, and chances are they will. The competition is incredible for bringing down prices and offering more selection. The fact that we are landlocked here in Ontario with one man, Doug Ford, deciding what we can and can't drink is shameful. I don't know why. There has got to be a lawyer out there in Canada, somewhere in Ontario, that agrees with me that this is a preposterous thing, that the government has a monopoly on liquor sales, and challenge it right up to the Supreme Court. Somebody has got to be able to sue for this, and I don't know why no lawyer has taken this on. Seems like a pretty open and shut case, if you ask me. And I don't see that the courts would necessarily disagree with the argument that the government is not allowed to have a monopoly. They can regulate, certainly, but they can't have a monopoly on making the rules and being the only ones allowed to sell it. Somebody should sue the government and break up the monopoly that is the LCBO. Alberta is proving time and time again how things should be done, and we just refuse to follow them.
Can I ask you then, do you think that somebody is scared to go up against the government or a Doug Ford?
Yeah, I think that happened a lot during COVID too. Lawyers were basically warned, if you bring lawsuits on these kind of things, you will be disbarred or shamed out of the organization or something like that. There's got to be a reason, because I know that there are smart, common sense lawyers, some of them that even listen to this pod. And I don't know why none of you has thought, it costs me nothing to file this application, and it's going to get a ton of steam behind it. Start the debate. Put the pressure on the government. It just takes somebody to write that application and submit it to the court, and let's see where it goes. But if the government is not going to voluntarily get out of the way, then somebody's going to have to sue them for it. And you know what? When the judge says, yeah, it's an illegal monopoly, the government cannot set the rules and be the only ones allowed to play in it, and then restrict all the restaurants and bars and everybody else that buys alcohol to resell, they can't have that monopoly anymore. They just can't. So I think that the courts, I think it's a winning argument. If you craft it right, this could be done. Just need a good lawyer who wants to take it on.
Okay.
I'm not involved, by the way. I want nothing to do with it because I've got far too many other fish in the pan here. But if somebody does want to take it on, I'll certainly cheer you on from here on the sidelines.
I love that. That was funny. Okay, Jen, I voted conservative because I was hoping to see a change with our laws. It's only getting worse, and unfortunately, the crimes are becoming more violent, which is scary. Keep up the great work. I look forward to your podcast daily. That's from Jen.
Jen, thanks a lot. The crime is getting scary. Like, it's not just me, right?
No, it's not.
Anna, the two that rocked me, three that rocked me in the last couple of days were that 3-year-old girl.
I can't.
Like,
I've heard so much more details than I've ever wanted to hear in my life.
it is pure evil that would do that to a child. And there were some conflicting reports about whether or not he was released on bail. I'm told he wasn't released.
Okay.
That was inaccurately reported. I never reported that he'd been released, but the person who did has now corrected that they've now been told he is still in custody. And may he never see the light of day again.
Ever.
And I personally don't want a penny of my tax dollars spent on keeping him alive either.
No.
I'd be quite content with just throw him over the falls.
Yep.
Or you know what? Maybe it is time to bring back capital punishment for people that would commit crimes against children like that.
It's disgusting. You're a disgusting human.
And the home invasion where the father was shot in front of his kids. Then we have we have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old fugitive who have both shot somebody.
Yep.
Wanted for murder or attempted murder. And again, these are 12 and 14-year-olds with guns.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing about this is right or okay. And the government does have an opportunity to tighten up the laws. I said it the other day, there's 3 things we need. We need to get rid of or seriously amend the Youth Criminal Justice Act and take all serious violent crimes right out of the equation. Doesn't matter if you're a kid. That law is there to protect people who made a simple, stupid mistake, not there to protect people who run around with guns and use them when they're 12 years old. So they've got to reform the Youth Criminal Justice Act. They've got to reintroduce mandatory minimum sentences. And if any court has the audacity to try and overrule Parliament on how long minimum someone should serve, then we instantly assert the notwithstanding clause and make the courts abide by that. I believe that needs to be done. We also need to get bail reform. You know, there's way too many people catch and release that it's a revolving door at the courthouse. They go in, they get given some minimal conditions that they're not going to follow anyway, and then they're right back out on the street. And apparently it is very easy if you're a gangbanger or a criminal to get a firearm. Average person, it'll take you at least 6 months to get a gun. Even if you took the course this weekend, you would not be able to walk into Sale or Bass Pro or wherever and buy a firearm till at least February, minimum. But criminals can just walk down the street and talk to the right guy and get a 9mm semi-automatic handgun in hours. It's insane what we're dealing with here. And frankly, us law-abiding citizens are outmanned and outgunned.
Absolutely.
And even worse, the cops seem to be siding with the criminals. You know, that thing from the chief of police there in York Region that if somebody breaks in, you should just comply.
Okay.
I understand where they're coming from, and they don't want anybody to get hurt. But at the end of the day, I think that there's better advice you could give. I think that just adds to the narrative that Canadians are feeling right now and that no one is on our side. And you got to stick up for yourself. What the chief of police said was, wait for the cops to get there and be our best witness. I mean, we're not talking about vigilantism. It's not like you found out who broke into your house and you went to their house and shot them. These are people that came into your house. We should absolutely have legal protection to be able to stand our ground and protect our home. And if the bad people get shot, so be it. They shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Agreed. And to not even feel safe in your own home anymore, that's when things are turning for the worse. All right, we have a message from David. Great episode, Scott. Let's hope Pierre gets Carney to move on Castle Law. After all the crime in the last few days, everyone you talk to does not feel safe anymore. It's a really sad time for Canada, unfortunately.
People don't feel safe. You're absolutely right. People don't feel safe. And I think that's the biggest problem here. Canadians have a right to feel safe. It's right in the Charter that we have a right to peace and prosperity and freedom. And sorry, no, I'm quoting the wrong part. But we have a right to feel safe and to be protected in our homes and in our country. But we don't right now. And it's being allowed by our government through the laws they've created and the ones they refuse to take away. It's insanity, Anna. You know what I don't understand? I don't understand what some people, particularly on the left, if I'm being honest, don't understand. Because, there's some people out there who truly believe that the liberal way is the better way. And you're welcome to feel however you want about the liberal way. But we've seen the liberal way in action for 10 years right now, and look where it's got us. So even if you are a liberal and you would never vote conservative, I understand that. I totally do. And that's your prerogative. You feel however you want to feel. I don't blame you for how you feel about politics, but surely we can all agree that what's been going on so far hasn't worked. You know, these very liberal laws on catch and release, the immigration policy, the economy is just cratering right now. So the economic policy, all of it hasn't worked. Like, again, if you like Carney, fine, but you can't look right now and say everything that's going on is okay. Yeah. Like, what reasonable person can look around and say everything is fine? But you know who is doing that? The cabinet. It's insanity that these people who are writing our laws, the ones that we're supposed to look up to and respect, don't see that there's a problem. How can you not? They're either way out of touch or they're purposely ignoring it for some other reason. And I don't know what that reason is, but it's very concerning, Anna.
Concerning indeed. And speaking of concerning, so this is a question for you from Trish. She writes, "Hi, Scott and Anna. Are the home invasions that are occurring only happening to super wealthy or targeted homes? Deals gone bad, or many of them just random middle-class homes? My husband, who listens to you as well, thinks that they are all wealthy or targeted homes. We are a middle-class household living in Burlington, and my husband says to stop being paranoid because it would never happen to us. Not paranoid, just wanting to have a discussion with him about what we hear on your podcast each day. I feel it is good to have a plan because I think it could happen to almost any house. I would love to know your thoughts. Thanks for being my source of daily news." That's from Trish.
Trish, great message. That's a tough one, right? Because, I mean, I've had this conversation with my girlfriend. We live together also in a middle-class home in Burlington. And there's people on my street that have had their car stolen.
Get out.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know why my street. I don't know why those houses or those cars. One of them wasn't even a particularly newer or nice car, but it got stolen right out of their driveway in a street where every single house has cameras. The thieves are not afraid of that. What makes them pick one house over another? I'm sure that there is a certain element of targetedness. You know that such and such is a wealthy individual and you're going to go after him. Okay, sure. That makes it an easy target. If you are wealthy or well off and it's well known, I'd be very concerned if I were you. But what makes them pick one middle class home over another? Honest to God, it could be anything. They have people out there on the streets and they're looking for nice cars. And sometimes it'll be at the mall. They'll spot a Land Rover and put an air tag in it so that they know where you live. You would never know if you weren't looking for it, but they know where to go to get that Land Rover. That brings them into the neighborhood. They're driving through the neighborhood, scouting it out, scoping out their next crime. They notice your garage door's open and that you have whatever in your garage that they want. Or they see a nice, well-dressed person wherever, at the mall, at a concert, a friend of a friend. And they think, that person's got some jewelry. Let me find out where they live. That's how these things happen in a lot of cases. Sometimes it's very organic. Sometimes it's targeted. I don't know that anybody should feel safe. I mean, statistically, if there is, I don't know what the population of Burlington is now, 200,000 people living in Burlington, what are the odds that your house is going to get broken into? I mean, yeah, you're right. The odds are you're probably not. But damned if I'm not going to be ready when they do come or if they come. Everybody should have a plan. I think what Trish mentioned there is very interesting. She wants to talk it through with her husband and at least take the possibility of that happening seriously and have a plan. Everybody should. Everyone, because we're living in such a dangerous time here in Ontario, I think that you should probably take a few minutes and figure out an exit strategy and a plan for if that door starts getting kicked in at 3 o'clock in the morning. If, God forbid, you hear the bang, bang, bang downstairs of somebody trying to break your window so they can open your lock or kick your door in or something like that, you've probably got less than a minute to get up, get out of bed, and either get to a safe place. Maybe you've got a safe room in your house that you can go to that you can lock, or get whatever weapon you're going to use to fight back. Or just get on your knees and comply like the police say you should do. Again, I don't necessarily agree with the police on that one for every situation, but there are probably some where maybe it is better to comply. I don't know.
If I were just tuning in right now to that part of the discussion, I would never in a million years, 2 years ago even, think you're talking about Canada. Or Ontario.
It's crazy, but this is the situation we're in. Like, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a plan. If you move into a new home, you should probably take a few minutes to figure out what your fire escape is going to be. If there's a fire on the stairs that go to your bedroom, where are you going to go? How are you going to get out of the house if, God forbid, that happens? Hopefully you never need that plan, but it's good to have it if you do. Hopefully you're never the victim of a home invasion, but it's nice to have an idea of what's going to happen if you do. If I hear that door getting kicked in or that front window getting smashed so somebody can reach in and unlock the door, I know that I've got about a minute. I've got about a minute to get to what I intend to use to defend myself, my property, and my family. And I'll be ready in less than a minute. I'm ready. But not everybody is, and not everybody's thought this through. Is your phone nearby? Can you at least tell Siri to call 911 or Google? Like, have a plan ready and map out the steps of what you've got to do. And again, God forbid you ever need it, but it makes sense to be prepared, to have the conversation about what if. Sad, but I think that that's practical advice, Anna. I know you're looking at me kind of funny here, but this is the reality of where we live in 2025.
Yeah, I know the fire plan, but the home invasion, it's true. It's important to have the AirTag through me big time. Back in the day, it was like remove your GPS out of the car, you know, and you had TomToms and Garmins and such. Now I'm... Ugh.
But that's what they do. They'll go to the mall. They'll find the Range Rovers. They'll find the Audis. They'll find maybe the Beamers if they want to slum it a little bit. It's not an offense to anybody who drives a Beamer, but they're not as valuable as some of the other cars out there. So they put an AirTag on it. They know exactly where that vehicle is, and then they show up in the middle of the night and they try and jack that car. That's what they do. And that brings them into neighborhoods that you might think are perfectly safe. All just because one guy on your street has a nice car and they were at the mall, or they were at Chuck's Roadhouse for half price wings after 9 or whatever, you know, like these thieves are out there and there's a lot of them and there's more getting recruited because the economy is so bad and people are so desperate for money. Younger people are being actively recruited to do this kind of work, and they know that they've got protections under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. So it's a lot easier to convince a kid, hey, you go and steal that car. I'm going to give you $1,000 in cash if you steal that car. And the people who are coordinating this and quarterbacking it, they're making lots of money off that stolen car. You just bring in a kid and you can pay him next to nothing. It's like a temporary foreign worker.
Oh, my God. Well, yeah, and we'll talk about that in your DMs. This one is from Steve. You mentioned people being desperate and turning to theft, but I see a difference. Some are just struggling while others, drug addicts, career criminals, or certain immigrants are driving the LCBO thefts and break-ins. Many I know are fed up and ready to act. I don't think current leadership is just incompetent, and it feels deliberate with people like Carney pushing an agenda. I doubt Canada will ever get Castle Law, no matter who's in charge. Honestly, as a civil engineer, I've even thought about moving to Texas or to Florida, where if you F around and find out actually means something. Steve.
Yeah, I can't really comment on that. I don't know if F around, find out will ever mean anything here. Do we need castle laws? Yes, absolutely. We're not going to get them under the current government. Everyone should probably just accept that. If you're hoping that Carney is going to come out on TV one of these days and say, you know what, if you've got a gun, go ahead and shoot somebody who breaks into your house. It's not going to happen. I'm not even 100% confident it'll happen if Pierre is prime minister, because there's a difference between being an opposition critic and being in government. Absolutely. When it comes time to actually write the law, I don't know if it's going to be what we fully expect it is. If you're expecting a Florida-style stand-your-ground law that as soon as somebody is threatening you on your property, anything goes. We're not going to get that here in Canada. We're just not. But we could get a version of it. In the meantime, I'm going to defer to what Premier Ford said about this. And he's a provincial premier, not in the federal government, but he's kind of right. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Oh my gosh, I know. That was powerful, actually.
You know, he didn't come up with that.
No, but it was
whoever
powerful.
He was repeating it from was a smart person. and that's true, though.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, if it comes down to you or them, make it them and deal with the courts after the fact. The problem is we shouldn't have to do that. That's what castle laws would prevent. The police should never come into your home and arrest you for doing what you thought was necessary. And the proof of that is the police themselves. Cops don't go alone to arrest someone on a warrant. They take the whole SWAT team. Yeah. When they get somebody on the ground, they don't stop what they're doing until that person is actually handcuffed. And the average person doesn't have handcuffs, maybe the fun kind, but not the real ones that'll keep somebody subdued. There's a reason that cops go in there in groups, because some of these people are on drugs and they're almost inhuman.
Yeah.
You know, like the strength they've got, the adrenaline, it's incredible. It's unreasonable right now to assume that just because you've got somebody on the ground, they're no longer a threat. Like, you've either got to keep them down until the cops get there or until you can tie them up or whatever. Just getting them down on the ground in the law's eyes would say, well, they're no longer a threat. But we all know they could still very much be a threat. And I don't think you should stop until they're actually in handcuffs or getting wheeled out in a bag.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I hate to say that. I do. But this is the reality of where we are now. Doug's right. Do what you have to do and deal with the aftermath or after the fact. But the law is not on our side right now. And if we do eventually get laws, it would only come under the Conservatives. The Liberals aren't going to do it. And I am a little skeptical of how much teeth it's going to have.
Okay. Well, Alyssa said, I wanted to weigh in on Doug Ford. I'm a conservative and voted for him, but lately he's been unhinged. I don't like how much he praises Carney. It contradicts his supposed middle-class views. His behavior at conferences remind me of Trump, despite criticizing him for the same unpredictability. On Castle laws, absolutely, I'd go to jail protecting my kids. We just spent 2 weeks in the U.S. and now are seriously considering moving. My husband pays my entire salary in taxes, and our kids can't get job callbacks, and we're retired. Not retired. We are tired. Leaving family, especially aging parents, is heartbreaking, but this country feels like it's offering nothing. Being American makes it easier, but it's painful to say goodbye to a place I once loved.
How many people are making that choice right now, though, Anna?
Yeah.
I'll answer that myself. Every day, I get a message, at least one, about how to get a gun. And I get a message about moving to America. A lot of people are thinking about it a lot. And that's the sad part too, right? Like, I mean, hey, even if you have to go because there's just nothing here for you, there's no jobs, there's no prosperity, there's no opportunity, the law's not on your side, we're being overrun here. Even if you feel like I got to go because there's greener pastures south of the border, there is that tough part about leaving behind aging parents and family and friends. And I don't know how to square that circle unless you can just pick up and move everybody. Keep in mind, the boomers, the retirees, in a lot of cases are either low or no mortgage at this point. They don't feel things necessarily the same way the middle class is feeling it. Ones that have got a mortgage and got a car payment and they're still trying to get their feet underneath them. It's a different circumstance. I would love to leave. But I think about my mom and my dad. They're both here and they're fine. They're doing okay. They've got homes that are paid for and they're doing great. But if I go to my parents and say, we're getting out of here because this place is just not it anymore, come with us, they're going to look at me like I've got two heads. I'm not going anywhere. I got my senior discount at Shoppers on Wednesdays. And, you know, I got the park across the street and I don't have any real bills to pay. And they're fine. I mean, it's a different Canada depending on the circumstance you're in.
Very true. David says, it's frustrating how Carney and Ford talk a lot but offer no real plans. It's especially disappointing in Doug Ford. More theatrics than action, quick to blame others while ignoring the chaos he controls. Instead of blaming companies like Crown Royal or Stelco, explain why businesses and people are leaving Ontario, and why does Parliament get a summer break? Do world issues stop in July? While China, Putin, and Kim Jong-un show off weapons, our leaders are at the cottage. We need a budget and real hope for this country.
Who wrote that?
David.
David, what a great message. Let's go through a couple of different parts of that message from David. Why does Parliament take the summer off? There's no good reason for it. None.
It's ridiculous.
These people are getting paid like $300,000 a year to work a couple of months a year. It's insanity. We need to have Parliament running all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's committee work. Even if the House of Commons isn't sitting and you don't get to watch question period every day. Question period is basically useless because that's all it is questions, no answers. So let's get to the hard work that needs to get done in Parliament, and that gets done in committee. Parliament should absolutely, and our parliamentarians should be expected to be at work 50 weeks a year, 5 days a week. These are the ones who are ordering people back to the office 5 days a week. They should be at the office 5 days a week. And what do you get? 2 weeks, 3 weeks vacation? Okay, 3 weeks, sure. But then the other 49 weeks, you're going to be in Parliament or you're going to be in your constituency office working, not just there twiddling your thumbs or playing on your practice golf green or anything like that. You should be there doing actual work for your constituents. Full stop. These politicians need to lead by example. They get paid exceptionally well. Some of the highest paid politicians in the world are Canadian, and they've all given themselves raises recently.
Yeah.
So they should work for that. Give me another point from that.
Okay, the other point is, so that was that one, his theatrics.
Oh, Doug Ford.
Yes.
Instead
of blaming companies, why isn't he doing something and keeping people from leaving Ontario?
I think everybody sees through Doug Ford now. I think everybody gets what he's all about. He completely exploited the Donald Trump 51st state BS. He's still running around with that Protect Ontario nonsense logo. I mean, the guy is a political opportunist. He exploited Donald Trump to get reelected, called an way early snap election just because he knew that the Donald Trump thing was going to be gold for him. And sure enough, it got him a third straight majority government. But now people are starting to catch on that, number one, his behavior is concerning. Running around, screaming at the top of his lungs, doing these publicity stunts like dumping out bottles of Crown Royal. Like, it's embarrassing. It's totally embarrassing. It's not the kind of leadership that I want or even expect from Doug Ford. People are getting real tired of it. I'm glad that that poll got put out that showed so many people do not care about Donald Trump. I hope that Doug is paying attention to that because he's one of the worst offenders for exploiting it. Enough. I think Doug's got to grow up. Like, if he thinks that this stuff is the key to his political future, I disagree with him vehemently. I read it every day. If you hear, say, 20 listener DMs, be assured that I got about 80.
Yes.
If you hear 20, I got like 200.
Yeah.
I read as many as I can, but I can't give you the whole snapshot of my audience here because there's simply too many of them. But I'll tell you, people have had enough. You know what I hear most from people is I hear conservatives say they're sick and tired of Doug and the Donald Trump stuff. And I hear liberals say it doesn't matter how hard he tries, I will never vote for Doug Ford.
Yeah.
So I don't know which base he's trying to appeal to here, but he seems to be alienating himself. And you know what? I'm sure there's polling numbers right now that they're looking at that show, people love that Crown Royal thing. The polls are delayed. People were sick of hearing about Donald Trump back in July. Mm-hmm. It's only now showing up in the polls. It's like a lagging indicator. So in a few months, you'll probably get polls to show people are really sick of it. It's enough. Maybe it's time for Ontario to move on. Maybe it's time for Stephen Lecce to step up and be premier, or Carolyn Mulroney, or someone who wants to be responsible and not chase business out. That was another part of that question is why are businesses leaving? Well, it's not just Donald Trump. I mean, the tariffs thing certainly plays a role, but keep in mind the cost of doing business in this province, this country. The taxes, the regulation in particular is fascinating to me. Just today, Blacklock's report put out an article that was about the federal government is considering yet another regulation on business in that all products would need to have a QR code on it that you could scan to find out what the environmental impact was of making that product.
Oh, wow.
When we continuously add regulations onto businesses, we're not creating a business-friendly environment. It costs too much to operate here. The taxes are too high. Labor is way too expensive here, and we are over-regulated to death. And not to mention, if you dare cross the supreme leader there, Doug, he's going to go on TV and dump out your product and tell everyone not to buy it. So what are we doing here? I don't know why people would come here when there's other options available in Canada or in the States or in Europe or in Asia. There's a lot of problems here that our politicians are not interested in fixing right now because until now, they could take comfort in, it doesn't really matter what we do because people are more fixated on Donald Trump and us not being the 51st state, that they can get a pass. I think your free ride is over here, Carney and Doug Ford. People want action and they are sick and tired of all the talk. They want to see movement on issues that are important to them. It's not too late. Mark Carney could salvage his legacy and his reputation. He could, but he's got to pivot hard from what he's doing right now. And while Doug seems to be doing things that, for the most part, either take it or leave it, some of it's popular, some of it's not, none of it's all that glamorous. I'll tell you, when it comes to healthcare in particular, people have had enough. There is a crisis in our healthcare system that nobody at Queen's Park seems to want to acknowledge or do anything about. And the time is coming where they're about to turn.
Well,
if we had an effective opposition in Ontario, we'd be having a different conversation. But part of the problem is the Ontario Liberals are led by Bonnie Crombie, who still doesn't even have a seat in the legislature and no interest in getting one by the looks of it. Where's Bonnie Crombie? She's on Twitter, complaining about everything the government does. That's not effective. We need an effective opposition that is presenting a plan. In the same way the Conservatives are presenting an alternative to the Liberals in Ontario could be presenting an alternative to the PCs, but they're not doing anything. They just have no leadership. Sad.
Yeah, that's awful.
Seriously, where is Bonnie Crombie and why hasn't she tried to win a seat yet? Somebody in the Ontario Liberal caucus needs to step aside and let Bonnie run. Just like Pierre did in Alberta, Bonnie's got to run somewhere, or she's got to step down as leader. This whole, I'm the leader, but I'm not in the legislature is stupid.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
Doesn't make sense.
Where is this woman? I'd love to interview her because I'd love to ask her, what do you do all day? What is your day like that you're the leader of the opposition in Ontario and nobody ever hears from you except for on Twitter taking pot shots at the premier?
Gosh. Okay. Well, this one's from Anonymous, and we're talking about healthcare in this. First off, they say, we need castle law in this country.
Yes.
People shouldn't be treated like criminals for protecting their families when someone breaks into their home. On another note, Doug Ford claims to be for the people, but as a QP member in education and a cancer survivor, I don't see it. He's failing both education and healthcare systems. When I was diagnosed, I had to fight to be taken seriously, waiting 12 hours in the ER before finally getting the referral that saved my life.
Wow.
Ford may have earned some respect in the past, but now it's clear he's not doing enough for our kids, school, or healthcare.
I told you, healthcare is going to be the Achilles heel of the Ontario PCs if they don't do something about it. They've got to get this healthcare situation figured out. And I know that they'll throw up the photo ops. Just the other day, they were in Brampton as they launched a dedicated medical school. Great. Well, that's 80 kids that are going to go through to be doctors. And let's be honest, some of them are going to leave.
Yeah.
They will go south of the border to greener pastures. That's fine. We know that's going to happen. But for the rest, 4, 5, 6 years from now, we'll have 70 new doctors. How many are going to retire between now and 5 years from now? It's not enough. We need to do more, or just privatize the whole damn thing. Because you know what? The private sector, they'll attract doctors from all over the world, good ones. And when hospitals have to compete with each other to get us to come there, you watch how quickly we get customer service at the hospitals. Right now, there's not a lot of incentive for them. To be perfectly honest with you, our healthcare system is set up to be not a failure, but to be mediocre at best. It could be better, but it takes political will and political capital to have the tough conversation about privatization. It's the only thing that's going to fix our healthcare system at this point because it is so far gone.
Oh, and Nick, it's so alarming what we're living with. Nick says, hey, Scott, I heard your podcast about hospital wait times. My coworker felt unwell and waited over 6 hours at Hamilton's Jurvinski Hospital. Jurvinski, thank you. Only to be sent home. 3 days later, his legs went numb and he waited another 10 hours before being admitted. He spent 3 days in a hallway bed before doctors discovered he needed open heart surgery due to pieces of a heart valve causing a minor stroke and leg numbness. After 4 more days waiting for transfer, he finally had surgery at Hamilton General, which was successful. He was discharged a week later. Healthcare needs a serious improvement.
Like, who thinks this is okay? Like, keep this in mind. If you're paying for something, you have high expectations. If you go to a restaurant and they're going to charge you $80 for a steak, that better damn well be a good steak. They're taking 50% of our income and a lot of it goes to healthcare. And this is what we get.
He was in the hallway.
That's not just embarrassing, Anna. That's shameful.
Yeah.
This guy waited a total of 16 hours to be seen, got sent home once, then he spent 3 days in a hallway, then found out he's got a serious medical issue that required open heart surgery, had to wait more time to get transferred to a different hospital in the same city, then he had to go through the surgery and recovery in the hospital. This is not okay. Like anybody who thinks that this is okay or who defends our healthcare system right now, I don't know what you're thinking.
No.
I really don't. We can't strive for mediocrity. We need to strive for the best. And frankly, we're not getting our best right now. People are leaving, and that's a big problem. We're losing doctors. We do not have respect for nurses in this province. I'm convinced of it. I've talked to way too many nurses.
Me too.
I've heard from way too many of them about the treatment they get and the conditions they work under. It's completely ridiculous. We need a new system. And we need a government that takes it seriously. Honestly, it's kind of like that plan I talked about a few minutes ago for a home invasion. God help you if you ever need it, but it's good to have one. Well, for regular folks like us, God help you if you ever need to go into the healthcare system. Hopefully you don't. But if you do, you need it there. And you need it to work when you need it. And right now, it doesn't. We're not getting good value, and people are going to die.
They are dying.
They are, yeah.
They are.
That doesn't get reported, does it? You never
Not
see
as
on the
much.
news, hey, 15 people died today because they didn't get in to see a specialist in time.
Yeah.
How about, remember what they did with COVID? Every day, it's here's the new cases.
Yeah.
Here's the recovered cases. Here's the number of vaccinated. Apparently, we have the ability to collect pretty good stats in hospitals. Put that ticker on television. How many people are dying waiting for specialist appointments? Anna, if I got sick right now or someone I cared about got sick, you watch how quickly I'll fly over the border. And I'll go down to the States and I'll pay out of pocket because then I know they're going to get good medical care. Here, I don't feel that way.
I have to that point, I have friends who've done that. It took 5 years to go see someone for a colonoscopy that they decided that they were just going to go to the U.S. and get it done privatized, and they were seen.
Hear me out on this, everybody. This isn't meant to be unpatriotic. This is
No.
just meant to be real and practical and honest. As a middle-class Canadian, this is what I think you should do. If you have a cold, a flu, a sinus infection, sprained ankle, whatever, yeah, go to the doctor. If you have to, go to the emergency room. Do whatever you have to do. Get the doctor to write you a script. You're going to go and fill your prescription. You'll be fine in a few days. If you have something serious, cancer, a serious heart issue, if you have a blood disorder, anything like that, do whatever you have to do to get the hell out of here. Go where you will get competent medical care. And I know it's going to cost a fortune. You may even have to mortgage your house. But you got to do it if it's your health and you have the system we have here, or you've got the Cleveland Clinic just on the other side of Lake Erie. Go to the Cleveland Clinic. Like, go get an actual proper diagnoses and talk to medical professionals that are working for the people that come into the hospital, not working for the government.
Yeah.
It's sad that I got to say that, but this is Canada in 2025.
Oof. Well, switching gears a little bit, Diane, today's podcast was so informative. Hearing from Epstein's victims was disturbing yet powerful. Those girls are so brave. It made me think of my 3 daughters and want to hold them tighter. On temporary foreign workers, I agree with Polyev. My 17-year-old couldn't find a job this summer. Her donut shop replaced her with a foreign student to cut costs. I get the business side, but it's our sad youth who lose out. I had to cut grass for a bit, but it wasn't nearly enough for future school expenses. Keep up the great work is what she's saying. Oh my gosh, that's so sad.
There are no jobs, though. And you know what? The temporary foreign worker thing, I talked about this at great length yesterday. It was basically a whole episode on temporary foreign workers.
We have more of that coming up here, too.
Okay, so I'll just say I don't fully agree with Pierre Poilievre. I don't think we just scrap that program altogether because I think that there are some industries that actually do benefit from and need temporary foreign workers. But for the vast majority of these, all we have to do is properly apply the rules to it. You have to make that job available to Canadians. If no Canadians apply, or if nobody's qualified in this country, then you can bring somebody in. Even at that, that's a real stretch. I mean, I know there's a lot of folks that don't want to do a quote unquote dirty job, but we just lost 66,000 jobs. 66,000 more people are now looking for a job. They're going to snap up those jobs. They're going to. So pause this temporary foreign worker program, reassess in a few months, maybe at next year's harvest or something like that. We can talk about whether or not we need to bring more people in. But for now, there's too many Canadians looking for a job.
Yeah.
Don't scrap it. Pause it. The temporary foreign workers thing is being grossly abused. We should be naming and shaming companies that are trying to exploit this program. I understand trying to keep costs low. I totally get it. But I'm old enough to remember all these big high profile contract negotiations on television, and Canadians were willing it on. Yeah, screw them. Get your 20% pay increase. Get your 25% pay increase. And, well, now salaries are so high that businesses want to hire foreigners instead of Canadians. I mean, again, this was a foreseeable issue. But here we are. We got to deal with it now. Minimum wage is not going to come down. We just got to figure out how to make business conditions palatable for a business to pay somebody $20 an hour and still make a profit. The only other place we can cut is their taxes or their overhead fees. Got to start doing stuff like that. Business can't go on like this. They're screaming it's costing too much to operate here. And the last thing we want is for that business to go under altogether and then nobody has a job.
This is true. Cole, he said, I fully agree about temporary immigration workers. At my job, one of the best paying locally for people without a degree, they didn't hire a Canadian for over 2 years, instead bringing in immigrants, some from wealthy families abroad. Meanwhile, Canadians are getting shut out. Tim Hortons and Canadian Tire too. They should be illegal. My first job was at Tim's. But now teens, including my son, can't even find work. How are companies proving no Canadians applied? If they're lying, they should face heavy taxes. Also, am I the only one who thinks he might have mental issues? How many times can someone act high during press conferences?
Is that about Doug Ford?
I think so.
Oh,
He
okay.
doesn't name Doug Ford, but I would think that he seems a little unhinged, so that kind of makes it, yeah.
Isn't that sad that that's what we've come to?
Yeah, I think that's what
Crazy.
it is.
Well, he was acting unhinged. It must have been Doug Ford.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen.
That's from Cole.
Cole, thank you very much. With the temporary foreign workers, it's, again, I see it both ways, but we've got to do something so that Canadians have access to these jobs. That's just all there is to it. I've used the example a million times. The planes are right when you're in the air. When they tell you, put your own life vest on before you secure the vest of someone else. Because if you're not safe, if you're not able to float, how can you possibly help someone else? So we've got to take care of our own first, and that's all there is to it. Pause immigration completely. Stop letting in these fake asylum seekers and pause this temporary foreign worker program. Got to do it. We got to get Canadians working again. Or the alternative is we just let it go under. Canada's basically insolvent. We have such incredible debt. Pierre Poilievre yesterday said he guesstimates the deficit is around $86 billion. It was $50 billion a few months ago when Trudeau was in charge. So something has gone on here in the time that Mark Carney's been in power, and we seem to capitulate to the Americans on everything else anyway. We know that they're not going to be happy with most of the things that we want to see in a trade deal anyway. Maybe it's time to just accept the fact that we tried and we just couldn't make a go of a country. You know, we spent ourselves into oblivion, reckless choices over the last 10 years, and that has consequences. We are going to go insolvent if we don't do something very soon. And then we might not have a choice but to become the 51st state. What Pierre proposed was prosperity. He proposed that we take care of ourselves, that we build those pipelines, and that we at least show that there's hope and light on the horizon. And we can start selling now and shipping later. But that was a plan to at least get money in the door now and try and stabilize our economy. Right now, we're in complete free fall. We're in a recession. We just lost another 66,000 jobs. Economists say we're going to lose another 200,000 before the end of the year. How can we carry on like this? Maybe that was Carney's plan all along. No, we're never going to be the 51st state intentionally, but if we just basically go broke and the Americans come in to pay off our debt, then yeah, I guess we're the 51st state. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility.
What is the holdup with the pipeline? What are people so against pipelines? Can you just tell me that part?
Why are they opposed to them?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are opposed to them for environmental reasons. They think we shouldn't be using fossil fuels because they create carbon emissions.
Okay, so that's what I've heard, but is there more to it?
No. That's it. It's mainly an environmental grift. We don't have as much need for things like solar panels and windmills if we've got gas free flowing across the country and we're shipping it around the world too. It's a grift. The whole green thing is a grift. The pipelines is a no-brainer. A no-brainer. Hey, listen, we've got all this oil in a particular part of Canada. They're in a couple of parts, but let's talk about Alberta in particular. Makes perfect sense that if we want to sell that oil around the world, we need a pipeline to get it from A to B, or a nonstop a series of trains and tankers going back and forth out to the coast. That's not practical either. The pipeline makes the most sense, but the government doesn't want to do it because they're trying to cash in on the green revolution. They still think that the future is in windmills and solar panels. They have no interest in doing this because they don't make money off of it.
Okay. I thought there was more to it. But.
No, it's a very simple concept. Okay. That's why they're so opposed to pipelines. It's because of a green ideology that I think by and large most Canadians don't subscribe to. At one point they did. At one point, there were a lot of Canadians who were truly afraid of climate change. And I think some of those people are still around. I mean, yeah, they can clearly see that things are changing.
Yes, absolutely.
But they're not willing to pay more, and they're not willing to do more while the rest of the world does nothing. You know, before you come after Canada for our green or our carbon emissions and our lack of green initiatives, go after China, go after Russia, go after India, go after Pakistan, go after America, the big polluters. We're a real small fish here, but we seem to want to take on this fight all on our own, and it's bankrupting us. Us, not the people behind the scenes. You know,
the middle class.
Brookfield is doing just fine, everybody. Please don't worry about that. They've got their fingers in a lot of different cookie jars, and they're making a lot of money off of going green. And there's other companies out there that are. They want to keep that money going because, hey, if they can go to their Quebec base and say, we're going to open up a windmill factory here in Quebec and we're getting greased. I actually own part of it. I'm not going to tell anybody that, but I got a piece of that. Bought some stocks in it. That's the sort of stuff they do. But that's at the expense of having the pipelines and exporting our liquid natural gas. We could have done this already. I mean, we could have had shovels in the ground. If we had voted a different way in the election, things would be very, very different right now. And I hate to say it, but there's a lot of us here who said this is what was going to happen, and it's coming true. It's faster than I thought it would, but it's coming true.
Well, thank you for telling me about that, clearing that up. I was curious. So we have another message here, anonymous. Hey, Scott, just a thought about temporary foreign worker policies. In livestock work, a lot of the workers who sort and load animals onto our trucks are TFWs, and one of the rules is the farm owners supply them housing because they earn considerably less. Does that mean all these companies like Tim Hortons and Canadian Tire are supplying them with housing as well?
I mean, technically, to get a temporary foreign worker, you're supposed to take care of them. You can pay them a little bit less, but you're supposed to help out with their room and board and getting them here and sending them back home.
It's like an exchange student.
Very, very similar. Listen, he mentioned livestock, was it?
Yeah. He works in livestock, and a lot of the workers who sort out and load animals onto our work trucks are TFWs.
So they're the temporary foreign workers. In agriculture in particular, I'm told that these workers are needed. I don't know because I'm not on the ground and I haven't talked to any farmers about this, but if you guys tell me you need them and that no other Canadian wants to do the job, I'll believe you. And that's part of the reason I don't think we scrap this program altogether, because there are certain industries that they say they do, need these workers. I don't buy that Tim Hortons and Baskin Robbins and Taco Bell and all these other places need temporary foreign workers. They need to start employing Canadians, and they need to pay minimum wage. That's all there is to it. You know what else is? I don't want to necessarily encourage a boycott. I don't. I think there's far too much of people trying to tell other people what to do. But I just want to get something on your mind. We know that people looking for jobs right now that have had no luck, particularly with the restaurant side of things, jobs that would typically go to teenagers like the Tim Hortons, the McDonald's and stuff like that. We know it's very, very difficult for kids to get their foot in the door there. Those jobs used to be yours. They are no longer yours. And in some cases, they're even trying to bring in temporary foreign workers. I drove by a Tim Hortons yesterday at noon. I was driving through Cambridge and going to see my mom. What's up, Mom? And there was Tim Hortons right outside a high school.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Parents, talk to your kids. Talk to your kids. This is just my suggestion. Why in the hell would your kids spend money at the restaurant that won't employ them or their friends and would actually rather bring in a foreigner from another country and pay them less than hire your kid and the local kids in the neighborhood? I don't know if the solution is for you to pack them a lunch, Uber Eats them something. I don't know.
But at the cafeteria.
If they're not hiring, stop supporting them. If they're trying to bring in other workers to displace or replace Canadians, stop supporting them. I was shocked at the irony of this Tim Hortons that was packed to the max with high school students. What don't you get? Why are you supporting that? Stop going there. I don't care if it's the closest place. Don't do it. Don't give them your money. Literally anywhere else. There was a grocery store across the street, probably a nice little hot table in there and some pre-made sandwiches. Go get one of those. You don't have to go to the restaurant that's actively sticking their thumb in your face.
Yeah.
Stop doing that.
It's a good point, though.
Why?
point.
Why? Of all places, Tim Hortons is where you guys go for lunch? Come on.
Yep.
What kind of a message does that send?
Well, Paul says laws need to change. And as far as foreign temporary workers, we need them as our country is short on farm workers as it is citizens don't want to work on farms. I'm listening to your pod from today, and I agree. We need to stand our ground law. And this is getting so ridiculous. What is going on with Silent Date Guy? Oh, my gosh, he had a lot to say. And say hi to Anna. Hi,
wow.
Paul.
Okay.
That was a lot of questions.
That was Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. Silent Date Guy, I will have an update on Monday. I know so much stuff now that I've been saving for an update. And I don't know that I have enough for a full update, but I've got a lot of little updates that add up.
You haven't said anything to me.
Well, I wasn't ready. I was waiting for more or another
Get
getaway or
out.
something. But I do have an update. In fact, there's one listener. I think she's in these listener DMs.
Okay.
And she asked about Silent Date Guy. And I told her what I will tell all of you next week. And she said, OMG.
You told someone before me. I'm your
fact,
partner in crime.
That was the joke. I said, even Anna doesn't know this one. So there's privileged information out there. Next week, I will tell you guys about Silent Date Guy. What was the other part of that?
So foreign workers, we should have them on farms because Canadian citizens don't want to work on farms.
I don't know that that's true. I know that with another 66,000 people out looking for jobs, eventually people are going to have to take a job they don't want. If a job's available, you take it. And if that means that you got to work on a farm, so be it. You know, there was a while there, Anna, where I thought the next station I'm going to work at is an Esso or a Petro-Canada. And the thought of me working at a gas station isn't all that appealing. But if I needed a job to put food on the table for my family, I would take whatever I can get. I think Canadians, in the conditions that Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau have created for us, I think we're all going to have to get used to that. If you lose your job, it's not about getting the job you want. It's not about the dream job. It's not about the salary or the hours or the perks. That was a while ago where you held the cards.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have to take whatever you can get, particularly if we're pausing the temporary foreign worker program. One other thing, though, I would say about farming and agriculture in particular is bringing in these temporary foreign workers. Okay, if you truly can't find any Canadians that want to do that, it is what it is. But I'd also suggest to you that Canadians will do just about anything when the price is right. And if you want to pay below minimum wage for somebody to shovel cow poo all day, I don't know that you're going to get many takers on that. There's a minimum wage in this country, and you at least need to pay the minimum wage. Now, if you have a problem with how high that minimum wage has gotten, I have two names for you. They are Douglas Ford and Mark Carney. Actually, it was Trudeau because there hasn't been any wage increases under Carney. But those are the two who got the minimum wages up. And a lot of people think, oh, that's great. Wages need to match the cost of living. But those higher wages also add to the cost of living because the cost of everything else goes up. It's a cause and effect kind of thing. And I guess my message here is Canadians are, especially if you get desperate, either get over the border or you're going to have to start considering jobs that you don't really want to do.
Yeah, I worked in a factory before I took this job on. It wasn't ideal, but it was a job and I need to make money. You do what you got to do.
That's right. You have to, right?
Honestly.
Especially if you've got people counting on you to bring home an income.
Yeah, exactly. Charlene, hey Scott, great pod about the students and job. I'm an HR manager. Hiring is the worst part of my job. Any students I've hired are sick weekly, lazy, and expect to be paid more. It's wild. We do not take part in the foreign worker program. So this particular company that she's HR for.
Okay, so I did have a bit of an exchange with this person.
With Charlene, okay.
Yeah, they doesn't take part in the foreign worker program, but has a real problem with the Gen Zs that are coming into her business. And she hires them, and she said, I suggested maybe you're just hiring the wrong ones. Because, for example, I have 2 kids in their 20s who are exceptional employees, as committed and professional as I am. They would be an asset to just about any company they worked for in their 20s. But I also hear from no shortage of people that are fed up with the attitude of young people coming into the workforce that think the 4-day work week is what they're demanding. They want to work from home. They want higher salaries to match whatever spending they've got going on in their life and all these other sort of things. And frankly, back to what I said a few minutes ago, you're going to have to just take what you can get for now. And there's not a lot of jobs out there, and there's a lot of people who want the ones that are. Take what you can get. This is not an economy right now that's in favor of the worker. It's favoring the employer, and they've got their pick of the litter right now, and they can basically, this is going to drive wages down. All these job losses are going to drive wages down, because if you're not willing to do it for $20 an hour, someone is. Mm-hmm. And it's either no job or a job you don't love. I'd rather have a job that I don't love than no job at all. Mm-hmm. And I think young people are just going to have to get used to that reality.
Also, remember working
Some
from
young
the bottom.
people, not all of them.
Not all, but do you remember working from the bottom to get to where you are? You got it. One job leads to another with promotions. It takes a while. It's not just overnight, kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of people who did exactly what they were supposed to do. They worked hard in high school. They went and got that university degree. They've got their degree in business and marketing, whatever. Great. You're ready to take on the world. Okay, but I mean, you can't go in there now calling the shots.
No.
Unless you are a leading scientist or you know something about AI that nobody else knows, or you've got some sort of an angle, you're just another number. So you've got to be prepared to take the job you might not want to do, especially when the economy is this bad.
Exactly. All right, we have one from Pavel. We don't have too many more, just so you know. But he writes, hey, Scott, a couple questions about school. I don't understand why in Canada schools moving students, classmates every year. Every time my son meet good friends, next year, school split them to different classes. I studied in Europe and I had some classmates for the entire elementary school. Also, why they mix different grades together. For example, in one class, they put 3 with 4. All the best for you and Anna. Your podcast should be #1 in Canada.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Listen, the reason for this, and I know that there's probably some educators listening that are going to vehemently disagree with me, but I'm just going to call it the way I see it. This is just my opinion, but here's the reason that keeps happening. That your kid went to school the other day and they ended up in a split class, or they ended up in a class with a bunch of kids that they don't know and all their friends are in the other class. I hear about this drama all the damn time because of what Diana does for a living.
Yeah.
And she's the one who has to deal with it. Yeah, parents go in guns a-blazing, ready to tear a strip off of an administrator who dares put their kid in a class that's a split or whatever. So I'm not going to tell you too much about what she deals with, but I can tell you that they're very aware of the problem. But here's the problem. 2 words. Dalton McGuinty, former Premier of Ontario, who introduced what the unions wanted and what the educators said they wanted. They wanted a cap on class sizes. That comes with consequences. Hey, it's great that you've got a classroom with 25 kids, but once we're at the limit, then we got to split it up. If we have 35 grade 2s this year, that's only a 1-year problem, but we've got 35 grade 2s. It's too many for one class under the cap, so you've got to do the split. You're going to have a grade 2 class, and you're going to have a grade 2-3 class, or a grade 1-2 class. It's just the numbers game. That's all there is to it. When I went to school, I think the most I ever had was 36 in one class. I was like grade 4 or 5 or something like that, and it was crowded. But we made it work. And you know what? I had a great time in that class. I was always with my friends. And you know what? If that 35 was 40 or 50, they would have split it into 2 25s and you would have had 2 grade 2 classes. But there's some weird number splits where you got to have a split class, a grade 2 class and a grade 2-3 or a grade 1-2. Mm-hmm. There's no other way to make the numbers work because it's an arbitrary cap on class sizes. I don't think that was necessarily the smartest idea. I certainly understand it's better for teachers. They say it's better for kids, although I've never really seen any evidence of that personally. I think that the cap on class sizes is a problem. And it's not even a problem, really. I mean, we certainly had to hire a whole lot more teachers to deal with it. Some people can hang their hat on it and say, oh, we did this great thing for education because now there's a cap. Personally, whether it's 25 or 35 kids in the class, it's still a hell of a lot of work for one person to do.
Yeah, it is.
So I feel bad for the teachers too. But I don't know that that was necessarily helpful. And that's part of the reason that we find ourselves in the situation we're in where, yeah, you're going to have to, sometimes your kids are going to get split up, friends, and it gets done for a lot of different reasons that they put kids in classes that they do. I tell you, I'll assure you, a lot of thought goes into it, and meetings and planning goes into it. It's done for a reason, but you can't make everybody happy. The only way to do it is to go back to the way things were. Take away the cap on class sizes, and then maybe you'll be able to do that. When I went to school with the same 20 people. Every year, we were in grade 1 together. The next year, we were in a different classroom, but we were all still together, but it was the grade 2 teacher. And then the following year, into grade 3. That's just the way it worked. Now, it's like a game of Jenga or a big puzzle or something like that, trying to fit everybody in under the caps. I don't know that we necessarily made things better.
Yeah,
I think the social aspect would have thrived a lot more without the cap.
Yeah, I mean, my classes were always large as well, and we always had 2 groups. It was 2 grade 7 classes, 2 grade 8 classes and such. And so when I wasn't able to be in the same class as my best friends, we still hung out at recess. That's what it was about.
And that's what it was. You know, I mean, I didn't always end up in the same class with my buddies either,
Yeah.
especially when I got to the bigger classes or into high school. And high school, there's really no
You don't choice.
You don't get a choice. But that was it. I mean, I'd look forward to seeing them on our break or at recess or at lunch. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. And you know what? Working with different people sometimes can be a very good thing.
Yeah, prepares you for life.
You know, I may not know anybody now, but by the end of the year, my best friend might be in this room and I just don't know it yet.
Oh, thank you.
No, I meant the kids. However, you get the point, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's frustrating. I know parents are frustrated. All I will ask you to do is not take it out on the teacher, not take it out on your school principal, not take it out on your local superintendent. Because you know what? They didn't just it wasn't a draft. It wasn't a draw or anything like that. It was done for a lot of different reasons and a lot of different factors.
Okay, we're going to move on now to McDonald's. So Jen, in regards to McDonald's new veggie burger, would be a great option to include salads on their menu. I would prefer from a healthier standpoint and germs as they are being prepackaged. I've seen them use their cell phones, then use those same hands to make a burger. Gross. Also, I'm sick of restaurants who don't supply paper towels in their washrooms. I use my shirt to open doors, but paper towels should be much more available, and automatic doors in these eating establishments. Am I asking for too much?
Yeah, you are. Yep. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I do. I'm a germaphobe,
Yes, he
and
is.
I need paper towel because I don't touch doorknobs. If I have to use my shirt, I will, but I will not touch a doorknob unless there's sanitizer on the other side. It's just a reality for me. As far as food handling, I'm going to assume that McDonald's has probably put a lot of thought into food handling procedures. If there's people who are doing that, handling their phone and then handling a burger, somebody's not following the rules there. That's not a McDonald's problem. That's an employee problem.
Exactly.
When it comes to salads at McDonald's, we tried that. McDonald's came out with a whole line of salads. And then somebody actually read the label and realized it's got more fat and calories than a Big Mac.
Yeah.
I don't leave it to McDonald's to make a salad that's got more fat than a Big Mac, but it's mainly to do with the dressing and the add-ons and things like that. You know what? I mean, don't go to McDonald's if you want a salad. Now, maybe you have to. Maybe your kids want it or whatever. I personally don't eat at McDonald's very often. Every now and again, I will treat myself to a McGriddle. That's my weakness, the McGriddle. I love it. Oh, it's so good.
However, and ice cream cones.
Yeah, because I'm a child. Seriously, I eat ice cream every day. But the McDonald's thing, yeah, it'd be nice if they brought back the salads and offered a little more choice. And I think we're getting there. The way fast food chains are rapidly dropping their prices, they can read the writing on the wall. They know exactly what's going on, and they know that their time is limited. They either get people back in the door now or they're gone forever. I'm gone. They lost me. Because I thought it was atrocious that they would have the audacity to charge someone $16.99 for a Big Mac combo that not that long ago was $5.99 or $7.99. Enough's enough. I'm out. There's still time for them to salvage more people, but they've got to make the menu affordable and offer as many options as possible. Yeah. I do like, though, the veggie burger. I think that's a step in the right direction. I don't know what it's going to taste like, but I don't think McDonald's puts out too many products that are terrible. So
I
there's
love
that.
McDonald's, but I only go now when there's coupons and I can get a value meal for cheaper for the price of one. So next one, we only have 3 more here. So we have school. Thank you, Scott, for speaking about and reporting real news. I've been a long time listener from the Z1035 days. Thank you for being awesome. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Oh, it's a comment.
Yeah, it's just a comment.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Longtime listeners are the best. And it's amazing how many people tell me, I've been listening to you since I was in high school, or I've been listening to you since Platinum Room above the Joker. I used to go there on Friday nights.
Oh my gosh, the Joe! I went there. That's hilarious.
Well, a lot of those people stuck with me, and I have a level of gratitude that I'm not even sure I can articulate, but someday I will. I really appreciate the people that have stuck with me.
Well, it's so cool because by association, I've become cool. Because I work with you. I shit you not. People are like, Scott Fox, oh my gosh, I listened to him. I Z103 or whatever. And they're like, that's so cool. You get to work with him. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool too, man. But it's an honor. All right, Jackie, this one's fun, Scott. Let's make it fun. What Scott's smoking? Do you prefer stevia, hybrid, or indica? And do you ever try vapes?
Sativa, I believe she meant to say.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not high, I promise.
Jackie, the simple answer to that is I prefer a sativa. There are times when I do enjoy an indica, but for me, sativa, I'm very high functioning when I'm stoned. I can get a lot done on a sativa, and that's all I'll say. I'm very high functioning.
Okay.
When I have an indica, I do that when it would be like if I was going to open up some scotch at home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not taking any more calls. I'm staying off social media. I just want to chill and watch a movie. Then I'm going to get into an indica. The hybrids, I don't go out of my way to buy them, but if somebody offers me one, I'll certainly take it. I am a big fan, though, of the sativa. I haven't tried any new ones lately. I'm still smoking the Thumbs Up Sativa and the Thumbs Up Indica. The Thumbs Up Indica is not great. It comes in a little blue tube. You get 2 full grams as a pre-roll. Oh. And it's 2 pre-rolls, 1 gram each, for $8. It's exceptional value. The sativa version of that is great. That one comes in a green tube. It's good. But I haven't tried a new one lately. I really should go and shop and try and find a little variety and get back on the track with the What is Scott Smoking. Try the sativas, everybody. They're my favorite. It's a good little energy boost, and I think they'll fit nicely into your day.
But how about, have you ever tried vapes?
Vapes, I have tried. I didn't love them.
Okay.
I found, I don't know. I just couldn't get into the vaping thing, and sometimes you really want it and it's dead and you got to charge it up and you lose it and I don't know, drop it. It just wasn't for me. I didn't really enjoy the vape.
School.
But you know what, though? I mean, longtime smoker. I don't really have a problem with pre-roll cannabis. Some people find it very harsh, and if that's the case, maybe you want to try the vape. But I actually like that feeling on your throat when you light up a pre-rolled joint. I'm still here for it.
I know exactly what you mean. Me too. All right. So the last one is from Loud. Hi, Scott. And this is more of a comment. I wanted to reach out and tell you how much I love your podcast. I actually do not like podcasts or politics, and yet I'm so drawn to yours and look forward to listening to it every day. It is either my drive to work routine or my walk the dog routine. I am sad when I do not have one to listen to. You are so passionate, so logical, and I truly appreciate your podcast, and I have learned so much. I recommend your podcast to almost everyone I talk to. Keep up the great work.
Best compliment you can give me is recommending the pod to somebody else. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate these DMs today. I know this was a longer episode, and I was probably rambling a little bit. It's my Friday, too, and I'm about to get loaded. So I'm going to be a hot mess in about 4 or 5 hours. But I just appreciate the hell out of you guys for listening to this pod. I really do. If you're someone who has not only enjoyed it, but gotten something out of it and recommended to someone else that they might as well, that's just such a great compliment that I appreciate. Thank you. I'm going to enjoy my weekend. I hope you enjoy yours, and I hope you have a great time this weekend.
Thank you.
Go to the cottage, are you?
Yeah, my friends Bancroft, right? Bancroft. Oh,
have a great time. It's beautiful up there.
I have it in the GPS. I know I'll make it.
Friends, I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. Carney is going to be speaking soon and apparently walk back the EV mandate. That's good, but it should have happened a long time ago. Scrap it. Don't pause it. I'll be talking about that on Monday and whatever else happens this weekend. In the meantime, please take a few minutes and come up with a plan. Talk to your partner, talk to your kids, talk to whomever it is that lives in your home. And if you hear that somebody trying to kick your door in,
Oh my gosh.
what are you going to do? Because you're only going to get a few seconds to react. Because the first thing they're going to do is look for the bedroom. They're going to go for mom and dad first. And maybe it's a dog. A dog can be a good deterrent. Maybe it's a weapon you've got. Maybe it's a safe room that you can go to. Please have a plan because you never know when it could happen to you. And God, I hope it doesn't, but be ready in case it does. This is Canada in 2025, and you need an escape plan for when your house gets broken into. Sad.
It's sad.
But this is reality. And it's a little surreal, Anna. Like,
It
I mean,
is, actually.
I'm being serious, but I'm also laughing at the same time because how crazy is that?
Well, you just saying that, I am literally planning out things in my head. And what do I have near me? I have my extra large dog. I'm thinking way more than I ever thought I would about an escape plan, but it's good to have. It's better be prepared than unprepared.
Hey, you know what? Your plan could be as simple as if somebody comes in the front door, I'm going out that window and I'm going to run through the backyard with my phone and phone 911.
Yeah.
It could be that. It could be not easy, though, if you've got kids in another room. Maybe your first instinct is, I got to get to the kids' room.
Exactly. That's the instinct in you as a parent.
You got to have a plan. I think everybody, I hate to say it, but you got to have a plan and just be prepared. And God, I hope it never happens to you, but be ready if it does. Have a great weekend. I'll catch you right back here on Monday. And I will, as always, leave you with the great sounds of Pat James and the whole truth. Hey now.